they'll be bringing more down.
Just a couple housekeeping. Please reminder to keep your cell phone silent, no video, and raise your hand and let 2 mic handlers come to you. State your name and name and affiliation. Sorry. For Game 9, Florida State will be the away team, and UNC will be the home team.
Always the top seeded, higher seeded.
No. There's a list of things. If there's it's in the manual. Thank you for joining us. Coach, can you give us an opening statement about tonight's game?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of credit to Tennessee. I thought Drew Beam was really, really good. We had our chance at one inning. Obviously, we didn't capitalize. At the end of the day, I thought that, they got the big hit and they capitalized, and we could not do that. I thought top to bottom we pitched the ball pretty dang well. But they got it done with runners in scoring position, and we didn't. It's credit to them. The good thing is we lost, but we ain't done. So we'll bounce back, and we'll be ready to roll on Tuesday.
Thank you, Coach. Open questions, a few for Parks and Vance. Any questions for the players? We'll go 1 and 2.
Joe Healy, D1 Baseball. The Parks coach mentioned it, that Beam was really good tonight. What did you see from him? How do you feel like you guys attacked him and did or did not succeed against him?
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. First time through the order, kind of attacked us with fastballs. And then the second time around, he did a good job landing those off-speed pitches to get ahead in the count and kind of kept you off balance. So that's kind of a credit to him and his preparation tonight.
Okay, right here.
Adam Smith with Inside Carolina for Parks and Vance. If you don't mind, about I guess it was the 6th inning. Vance hits the homer, but then, as Coach alluded to, sort of ran out of that rally there with the thing with D'Onofrio. Just maybe the frustration there. You got 2 runners on, and you're not able to score some more when you needed it. Like, what did you see happening there, and how it sort of impacted your chances?
Yeah, I think that was, a big spot for us in the game. But, sometimes in baseball you don't come through. D'Onofrio's done such a good job for us this year, and that situation didn't work out. But I have all the confidence in the world that on Tuesday against Florida State that we'll be in a similar position and he'll come through.
Yeah, he said it all. We have all the confidence in our guys, so just continuing to just back them, and like he said, on Tuesday we'll get it done.
Any questions right here? Okay.
Matt Tallering from World Baseball Network. Parks, you guys got your first hit in the top of the 4th inning. What's just the dilemma for you guys to just, get on the board early on Tuesday?
Yeah, I think just keep doing what we're doing, just be confident and kind of attack. Sometimes I feel like we've kind of been on our heels recently, and so we just kind of need to go out there aggressive and just kind of let it all out there and just play with no regrets.
Do you have any other questions for the student athletes right here?
Wes Rucker, 24/7 Sports. Question for Parks and Vance. When you saw that play that Colby made there in the first inning, is there a part, right to lead off the game? Is there a part, in first? Is it like, hey, this is going to be a good night? It just seemed like that was one of those plays that really gets kind of something started.
Yeah, for sure. Colby's been really good there, all year. So just Christian Moore smoked that ball, and Colby made a great play. And, just continuing to make great plays behind our pitchers.
Okay, back down here.
For both guys, if you don't mind, again, how would you gauge the mood in the locker room after this loss? As Coach alluded to, you're ain't done yet. What would you say the vibes are like in there coming off this loss, knowing that you're facing elimination now?
Yeah, personally for me, I'm really excited. Really, really excited to get out there for another opportunity on Tuesday. This is the most fun I've ever had playing baseball. I'm not going to let this loss kind of, ruin any of my experiences here. I'm going to be so grateful that I have another opportunity to go out there and play, and just going to kind of leave it all out there and just be ready to go.
One more question for the student athletes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize. Go ahead.
I couldn't really say that any better, so I just kind of let it go.
Do we have any other questions for the student athletes? Okay, Vance and Parks, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll open up questions for Coach. Do we have any hands? Right, we'll have one rep here and one up front, up there. We can start over here.
Grace Nugent, Inside Carolina. Coach, what's your message to the team after this? Again, you said it. They lost one, but they still got one to play.
Yeah, that's what I told them. I said, move on. We have a 24-hour rule when we win. But after we lose, even quicker. You got to walk out, and it's gone. The great thing about this format, I've been in it. In 2006, we won the first 3, we won the first 4, and we didn't end up winning it. 2007, we lost the same game, and we made it to the national championship. So I feel like we had the pitching to bounce back, and I just told them keep their heads up. You're at the College World Series. You have a great opportunity ahead of you. We'll get back, take a shower, turn your loops in, eat a meal together, get some sleep, and get back to work tomorrow.
Question right up front, right here.
Ariel Bonham, Tar Heel Tribune. You have 3 consecutive games with 3 runs or fewer. Obviously, the pitching's been good. Can you put your finger on any other dynamic that's going on there?
No, I think a lot of that is the guy on the mound. You got to give him credit and look at who you're facing. And hitting is contagious. I feel like the one thing that kind of lets the air out is when you get those guys on, somebody hits a ball in the gap, somebody hits a ball over the wall. Somebody gets hit by a pitch. We just haven't been able to have a big inning, but we're very capable of doing that, and it can flip just like that. That's the thing about baseball.
Can you talk about that, the inning, it's kind of the rally-killing pickoff, and how that came?
Yeah, D'Onofrio's a really good base runner. Him and Vance generally have the green light. We all make mistakes. Anthony made a mistake. I've made mistakes throughout the year as well as everybody else on the team, so we'll learn from it, and he'll let it teach them, and we'll let it happen again, hopefully.
Right here.
Monty Taylor, College Baseball Central. Moments after they were eliminated, Brian O'Connor is standing there, and he takes the time to stop you and your team at times and wish you guys luck and provide some encouragement. What does that say about the support of the conference as a whole and him in particular?
Yeah, I think it says more about him in particular. Brian is what coaching's about. He cares about his players. He's been a tremendous friend to me. He's been a head coach a long time. I haven't been a head coach a long time, but he has always treated me like basically I was a head coach. It didn't matter to him. It's just who he is. And we're pulling for each other except when we play each other. And obviously he wants us to do well because we're good friends, but he also respects the way we play, and he knows we respect the way they play.
We're going to go 1, 2, 3, then 4.
Scott, when you say you have the pitching to be able to get it done over the longer course that you have to go now, what do you mean by that? What does that entail? What does that look like to you?
Well, I probably should rephrase that. We have the pitching, I think, to compete with Florida State. That's all you can focus on right now. I have to keep the guys away, and I'll talk to them tonight when we eat. You don't look at what you have to do. You just look at what you can do right now. And that is literally going back and getting a good night's rest and hydrating. It was hot out today. Getting our good lift in tomorrow. And then when we play Florida State, I do feel like we've got enough guys that we can compete. It's a really good offensive lineup, and we'll take it pitch by pitch. And if we beat Florida State, then hopefully we'll have enough guys to compete against Tennessee again.
Okay, we'll go right up front here. Sorry.
We'll start Aiden Houck most likely.
Okay, right here.
Coach, honestly, Adam took my question, so I'm kind of scrambling here. What can you say about what Shea did? I mean, he was moving right along for those first 3 innings, kind of ran into some trouble in the 4th. How do you think he performed?
He has difference in the game. They made some mistakes too on the mound. I'm sure I'm going to see that when I go back and watch the game tonight. Shea made that mistake with 2 outs, and winning games, you got to have some clutch and get those 2 out hits, and we've had a lot of that in the postseason, and they had it tonight. I believe it was Tears that hit that ball. Is that correct? Got to give him credit. Just a change up in the zone. He did what you should do with that mistake. But I tell you, I really thought we pitched it well enough to win the game, and even pitched it better than 6 runs. They just capitalized and got that big hit and didn't leave many guys on base.
Okay, right here.
Brendan Lunga, Daily Tar Heel. After a game like this, where you maybe don't get the offensive output that you were looking for, what do your conversations look like with Coach Wiersbicky heading into the next?
We won't have one. It's just baseball. You move on. You don't you don't really talk about it at all. These guys know what they're capable of doing. My job is to instill that confidence in them and say, hey, move on, because it can flip just like that. We could have scored 12 runs tomorrow, and the guy, today, and the next game could have been on, and we don't get but 2 hits. So I'm just going to tell them to do what they've been doing, Coach Weirs is unbelievable with our hitters. If anything, I'll tell them to take a step back and don't take too many swings tomorrow and save those swings, get that bat speed ready for Florida State.
You go right here.
Yeah, Kevin Brockway. Good night. Florida State, obviously another conference team that you're going to face. The familiarity of that, I mean, how does that play into the matchup? And what are your impressions of how they're playing now?
Really good club. Link's a heck of a coach. They've got really good players. But we haven't played this season. We missed each other. So we'll look forward to that challenge, playing each other. But they're extremely offensive. Some high picks in that lineup, and it'll be a big challenge for us. But we feel like we'll be up for that challenge.
Last two questions here and there.
After Maddie, if they'd have been a one-run deficit, would your pitching approach been different? You were able to give Dalton the day off. You threw a lot of guys who hadn't pitched for a while. Would the approach have been different with a one-run game?
Yeah, absolutely. What you don't want to do is when you're behind by a certain amount of runs, you want to stay in the game. But you also, there's some certain guys that you're not going to put in unless you bridge the gap, maybe get within two. But again, I thought all these guys I thought they were aggressive. You're talking 1, 2, 3, 5 guys that have never pitched in the College World Series. I know if I'd have been out there, I'd have had some major butterflies, and I thought they all were aggressive and they looked really, really good. And we're going to need all of them to get back through this bracket, and I've got confidence in all of them.
Last question right here.
In the vein of talking about capitalizing, was there anything in specific that Beam and the Tennessee staff did in particular that you think made it hard to kind of find that offensive rhythm?
Beam's good. He's way better in the windup, and we couldn't get him in the stretch much. I thought he did a good job of moving his fastballs to both sides of the plate, and he's got the good curveball. He threw a couple good changeups to our lefties. Connell's always been good for them. He's a tough look. He's a tough angle, especially on lefties. And he came in and did his job. And we had some chances against Snead. Obviously, I thought we had really good at-bats against him, throwing 95, 98, touching 99. We didn't strike out. Only 2 walks. But, we got those mistakes, and we didn't capitalize on them. But I don't know without watching the video how many mistakes Drew Beam made, because I could go back and watch and be like, man, he was really, really good. Didn't give us many mistakes. So I thought him and Connell were both really good.
Coach, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Oh yeah, no doubt. Appreciate that.
You go. We'll meet in the middle. Yep.
Please. Thank you.
Just like you said. No, I said
Just
don't,
6 days a week.
Yeah, you don't do nothing until you throw it, then you do it tomorrow. Still any chance I'll ever fill? No. You see my infield glove?
Coach and players, thank you for joining us. Coach, congratulations on the victory. If you could give us a quick opening statement about tonight's game.
Yeah, two good lineups that are very dangerous, but runs were at a premium tonight for a few different reasons. One was the defense was outstanding on both sides, and there was also just some balls that were stung, that defenders were in a position to make a play on. Glad we were able to get it done for a lot of reasons. Last time we were in that dugout, Drew pitched really well for us, but he pitched even better tonight, and we just kind of followed his lead, and he helped put us out front, which is what you want your starter to do. And fortunate to win. I mean, every team in that league's good, but North Carolina had as much success as anybody in it, and they had kind of been a force in nature and still are capable of being that, with all that had gone on. So I think it says a lot for our guys to come out and have the focus they did after a pretty emotional win. There is a separator day in there, so kudos to our players for that.
Okay, we're going to have questions for the players. We'll start right here in front.
You guys, just reaction to Inslee's catch there in the second inning.
I was very hyped because it saved me from a hit, and probably would have been a triple maybe when inside the Parker, but he hit that wall hard, so I was just making sure he was okay. But I was just dumbfounded. That was a crazy catch.
We're going to go 1, 2, 3.
Matt Tallerini from World Baseball Network. For Drew and KT, what's it like to just be the first program to go 2-0 in Omaha in school history, and just have a community like Knoxville and other alumni just to have your support through this?
I will say our fans have been great all season long, and then as far as it goes with being 2-0, I think it's just great that both games we came out and we were ready to win the game right in front of us.
Yeah, I'm just happy we put ourselves in this spot position, I guess. It's been awesome seeing the amount of fans that have shown up from Knoxville all over the country just wearing orange. This place, it's a pretty special place to us, and so it's awesome that the fans get to come and enjoy it and watch us play our game.
Jackson Reyes, Omaha World Herald. Drew, you got in a groove early. Can you talk about just your performance today and also just dealing with that delay and just having to manage that?
Yeah, it felt really good early on. Cal called a great game behind the plate. We just had pretty much everything going. I was just trusting with what he had game planned and we had game planned with, and we were going with it. They put some good swings on some balls, especially that ball to center field. Inslee made a really good catch. The defense played well behind me, so that helped me out in some situations. Then, yeah, the I guess time break or whatever was unfortunate, but it is just what happens. It's baseball. There's always something that's going to happen. So I went down to the pen. Got it loose, and just Vance made a really good swing on that pitch. Backed up a cutter, and he made a really good swing. So then coach made the call, and Kirby got me out of it. So I was happy the guys behind me had my back.
Drew, what is it like knowing that Kirby's coming in? What's that level of comfort, and what you see from him getting out of that gym, and also the next inning?
It's awesome, and it's easing whenever I see Kirby coming out of the bullpen whenever I'm out there on the mound, just because he's been there and done it so many times. I don't know how many appearances he has in his career at Tennessee, but I think it's top, and more than anybody else has ever had. So he's been there, seen anything and everything. So I'm very comfortable handing the ball off to him.
Questions right here.
Kavaris, what's going so well for you at the plate so far in this tournament?
Just trusting our game plan. Whenever we get the information about the pitcher, and then whenever just getting in the box, just making sure I don't get too big.
KT, the different ways you guys have won these first two games here in Omaha, what does that say about y'all?
I think it just shows how versatile we are, and it also shows how our will to win. We don't ever think that we're out of a game until the end of the game, and even then, I think it's just that we ran out of opportunities. So yeah.
Drew, you talk about Kirby seeing anything and everything. You've been around the program a while, too. And how much do you think y'all's experiences in Omaha have been helping these last couple of games and knowing how to go through this?
Yeah, last year we got a taste of what it's like to be here. But we also got a taste of what it's like to be in the loser's bracket and how it's hard to come out of that side of the bracket. And so, we've really grinded out these last two games to put ourselves in this position to where we're ahead 2-0. And yeah, there's a bunch of guys on this team that have done it and been here, and I think that experience has really helped us through it all.
Do we have any questions for the student athletes? One last one.
Yeah, Kavaris, what was your reaction to Hunter's catch? And just as a fellow outfielder, what kind of goes through a play like that, just trying to make a play in a catch like that?
Well, I was running over there to back him up, and I was screaming that he was about to hit the wall, which I doubt he heard me. But once he hit it, my initial reaction was, ooh, and then I saw the ball still in his glove, and I was like, let's go. So a lot of different emotions going on right there.
Thank you for asking that question because I interrupted into the first question of the day. So I appreciate it. Gentlemen.
Coach, you look for players that will run through a wall for you, and you quite literally have that. What does that mean to you with those players like that?
It means a lot. It means when you come to work, you better bring the same, obviously energy and positive attitude, but also work ethic. Ensley came in and was a guy who had to redshirt, and I don't know if he certainly had the athletic ability and the mentality. I don't know if he was ready, to do it right away without the repetitions. And he's a guy that's all over the facility at all times, working on things, especially when he was younger. Now he's able to kind of go about it like a pro now that he's got his own system. But that's why he's in there. That's why he was in there last year. And he's pretty much reached Drew Gilbert's stage where in practice we don't want him anywhere near the wall because we know we'll get our money's worth in a game. It's usually the opposite with an outfielder at high school level or college level. They'll shy away from it. And he's not scared. He's a fighter.
Well, at this time, we'll let Kavaris and Drew leave, and we'll let this open time for Coach. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Sorry to direct traffic there. I thought we were trying to get our guys.
We'll go 1, 2, 3. Then we got 4 over here. We'll go first question. We'll get to everybody. We got some time. We'll go first right up front.
Yeah, Tony, there have been a number of great outfield plays made in the series already, including your own. Just as a baseball guy, just not to coach Tennessee, how much do you appreciate what you've seen, if you've seen any of these, and how much as a baseball guy can you just appreciate what he did tonight on that catch?
You can in general of the others. I mentioned it after our super regional against Evansville. Sometimes it's not the right occasion to shake hands, but when I was a little kid in St. Louis, it's a hockey city. My dad's from Chicago. It's a hockey city. I love that deal where two teams are trying to beat each other's brains in, but they have the respect for the effort and the ability to be at that level. That's why that handshake is so special in the hockey playoffs. And it took me a while at a young age to figure out, why are they shaking hands? They just fought. One guy knocked another guy's teeth out or whatever it might be. Shout out to Bob Probert. And, I think it's kind of the same admiration. You want to be the best team here, but you have to take a step back and realize you're very fortunate to be amongst the best athletes at the college level. A lot of these guys you scouted or you see in the Cape Cod doing well, or Team USA and things like that. So you got to pinch yourself and make sure you're not being a fan too much, but you're crazy to not be, just at the spectacle this thing has become.
Question right here.
Yeah, Tony, we've asked the players about the experience of having been here before and how it's helped. And I wanted to ask you, has this felt different for you with some of the lessons learned previous times here?
Yeah, but I think more so, too, you guys asked Drew about Kirby coming in. When you go out there, I mean that's Frank's deal with the pitchers. I stay out of his way. I think that's maybe the smartest thing I do. But when I'm out there, I'm on the field, and there's certain feedback and body language and words that are said you get from the players. You look in the outfield and kind of see what those guys are doing, the pitcher you're taking the ball from, and the guy coming out of the bullpen. And that's just one example of how this team's a little bit different. Drew wants to be out there, but he was almost excited to give Kirby the ball and said kind of some things to me and the other guys that just made you feel good, made you feel like we're in a good position to play our brand of baseball. And that's not always the case when you're in a high-pressure situation, if you want to call it that, or in a spot where a lot of emotions can be running wild. And this group seems to stick together. I feel like we're getting even closer as the year goes on. And then they have an interesting level of maturity about them. I'm sure anti-Tennessee people will argue, but there's an interesting level of maturity there over the course of 9 innings with all the different things that can happen in a game.
Okay, we'll go right here.
Tony, obviously you have had a few incredible teams the last few seasons, but why is it this team that's been able to go 2-0 in the World Series so far?
I think that's tough. I think when you get here, it's chaos, and anyone, well, at least just from my vantage point, I'm not experienced enough or wise enough to say why this or that, because look at the first 3 games. I mean, out of the 6 teams that played, it could have been any 6 of them won their first game. I mean, it was madness, and it'll probably continue to be that. So I think you just want to be a little better than the other team on that given day, and that can come in a variety of ways, as you all pointed out earlier. But if I was going to answer just on the team's success for the whole year, I got to go broken record and just say the team chemistry and camaraderie that's there. Some greater than the parts applies to a lot of different things, and it certainly applies to teams. It'd be nice to have Michael Jordan and say you got the best guy that can take over, or Peyton Manning at quarterback and he can lead the way. But this is a deal where you got 9 guys and baseball's flying around and arms moving and things like that, and energy out of the dugout. There's just a lot of things that matter in our sport, with all due respect to others. And I think what carries a heavy weight for us is that camaraderie.
Okay, question way in the back.
Tony, I know it's fresh, but any type of update on Hunter and his health after being taken out of the game? And then second, what is different about tonight with Drew than maybe his last couple of starts?
Yeah, the Drew one is easy. I mean, there was conviction to it. I was asked by Chris Burke and the ESPN staff to compare year by year with Drew. And the one thing you all and John Wilkerson and me always talk about with Drew is consistency. So to say, I mean, I think he's really worked hard. Body's improved a little bit. Leadership's definitely gone up. There's a little bit added on there. But if you're going to say how different is he as a player from freshman to junior year, it's not that different. I mean, his hard work has paid off, but consistency is a word that sticks out. But one thing that can happen as you do get older, or especially when you experience this junior year, when you're going to go on to pro ball and you're also supposed to be a team leader, and maybe you move off that day that you've been used to, you can add stuff into the basket, or whatever analogy would be good, to use. And sometimes cutting out the fat or not adding things will help you stay true to your roots. And tonight, I think there was, a real simple approach. I've got good stuff. I'm a good athlete. I'm a good leader. I'm going to go do it. And there didn't seem to be any extra thoughts or trying to accomplish any bonus or extra things. Snead was awesome out there. He wanted to throw better. I think anytime you get North Carolina guys out, you threw good. But he admittedly tried to strike a guy out that he eventually walked. And, again, when you try and add things into the basket, or whatever the heck is the right way to say it, you're probably going to detract from your performance a little bit, and Drew wasn't going to let that happen tonight. Oh, sorry. I said in the mid-game interview, a little pressure there mid-game when you got to do that stuff. I said he was woozy or wobbly or something. I think I said he was woozy. What I didn't mean his head. I meant wobbly. Just he crashed into that wall, and I think hip. I just kept relying on Woody and Doc Klinks in our dugout too. So I kept saying, "What do you think? What do you think?" But eventually, you could see he wasn't moving around his best. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, as soon as we got a lead, we can't afford, with the way Drew's throwing the ball, to not get to a fly ball, which ironically is what got us into that spot. I mean, you got to just sit in the stands and watch each pitch, because you don't know which one is going to affect the game the most. And same thing as a player, you just got to hook it up each pitch, because who knows what happens if that ball gets over his head. Tremendous play.
Okay, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that'll be it.
Coach, you John Walker from the Omaha World Herald. You had mentioned that runs were at a premium tonight. KT hits the 3-run shot in the fourth, and I think you guys got another the inning after. What is it about this team's home run ability that has allowed you guys to kind of flip games in a moment's notice?
Yeah, I think the one thing that you'd be remiss if you didn't point out is Sprague was so good, and he's kind of their Drew Beam. I don't mean to speak for them, but just watching and looking at the numbers, he's incredibly consistent. He's a strike thrower. But some of those outs did not come very easily for him. Even Burke strikes out in the first inning, but it might have been a 10-pitch at bat, and it allows our guys to see what's going on. Our guys were kind of leaning on him. And then, the one thing we've kind of mentioned with our guys is, like, anybody on that list, and Reese Chapman was in the lineup tonight. Bargo did what he did against Evansville. Any one of them might be able to get you or do something for us. But when everyone's kind of involved in trying to contribute, you kind of end up with that deal, like I said, where we're kind of leaning on Sprague a little bit, and someone was just able to get to him. So that would kind of be my explanation of that deal. And yeah, I mean, I think when you do have the best athletes playing defense behind some of the best arms in the country, runs are always going to be difficult to get.
Okay, right here.
Hey, Coach, Chris Phillips, SEC Unfiltered. You talked earlier about how great the defense was tonight. We all know what Christian Moore can do swinging the bat, but that play he made later in the game, moving to the backhand side, kind of flipping the ball underneath, and, of course, Blake picking it over there at first, one of the best plays you're going to see in college baseball. Just talk about how valuable an asset he is in your infield. Again, we all know what he can do swinging it, but one of the best defensive second basemen in the country as well.
Yeah, no, it's nuts. If you look at that play, the replay, fortunately, we were able to watch it more than one time. And it was a pretty dang good play, but it's nuts to think, what happens if that? He might have saved us, from going to another guy in the bullpen. Although, like I said, I thought Snead was throwing the ball well. And then North Carolina's been able to mount some comebacks too. So you're trying to, prevent any chaos from starting. But yeah, he's taking a lot of pride. It wasn't good over there at second freshman year, just to be honest with you. And kind of like we used Ensley as an example, it became a pride point for him. And he got really good at it last year. And then now he's gotten to the point where he played shortstop for us at some point this year. He was begging to go to center as soon as Ensley came out of the game. He has been there this year. And it's a good conversation for scouts to have. Clearly, this guy's physical enough and smart enough to be a hitter at that level. Where are we going to play him? I think they've got a lot of options. And at the very least, it wouldn't be Dan Ugla, with all due respect. I think he played at Memphis, right? Tennessee. You're not just putting a bat at second base. Like, as you mentioned, he's pretty dang good over there for us.
Okay, last two, right there and right here. Right there.
You mentioned during the pitching change, it kind of you saying you feel like you guys were in a good spot to play your brand of baseball. What would you say your brand of baseball is?
Well, I don't think you want to get too caught up in what's going on with, they get a guy on base or what are we doing here? Or it's you're not going to be relaxed. Everyone says be loose. Well, come on. We know where we're at. So, but you can't be tense, and you got to still be able to breathe and carry on a conversation and have a realistic understanding of what the situation is. Call it self-awareness is big in that situation. So I think that vibe, they want that from us. They don't want us yelling at them like absolute maniacs, if that's a good example. And then we also want them just to be present in whatever the situation is. And in that deal where we're having a meeting, you can't play ball. You just got to kind of prepare for the next situation. The next thing is hand the ball off to Kirby. Everyone in that moment talked about how much they trust Kirby, which he's obviously earned. And then we go out there and play ball and see what happens. And like I said, here, with these teams and in the moments and all that, anything can swing one way or the other. But we would prefer it be our team showing up and doing what we do, which you guys have seen, and go to battle with that and just see where it gets us.
Okay, last question right here.
Mentioned Kirby there. What has allowed him to succeed in his role, being that it's so different from what he was doing for you guys last year?
Yeah, he's been asked to do a lot more. And maybe it's fitting parallel there because he's done a lot more in the community and in our locker room. It's been every year just a growing presence of a guy who is a special individual. And even though it's, you don't see a guy creeping up. Frank's had these guys like Crochet's a lefty that goes from 87, 88 to 100. That's not the progression Kirby has made, but he's worked at a lot of different things to progress as a pitcher, not just a person. And, I think he's continued to improve as he is. But the one thing about throwing him out there is, like today, everybody feels good. Whatever happens with him on the mound, so be it. We'll go back to the hotel. Maybe you're frustrated, maybe you're happy, but you're going to put your head on that pillow and be good with whatever it is that he does, because he's one of those guys that you go to battle with. So this whole thing I throw out there about our locker room's great. It's not me. There's a lot of special things that got to go in place. And Drew being unselfish and congratulating a guy for getting the ball on opening day instead of him when it's kind of his pitching staff, that's something. And then Kirby just being Kirby. He gets the ovations he does for a reason. That's something.
Coach, thank you very much for your time.
You bet. Thank you. Michael Jordan, you like
Yeah. Oh,
You like Sean
I'm
Kemp
a
better,
Pacer
though?
fan.
You like?
I'm a Pacer fan.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. He asked. I don't like Reggie Miller, by the way.